Hi, this is Dennis Myers. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Walk Forward Metric Explorer version 8. The Walk Forward Metric Explorer is a standalone 64-bit EXE program that is super fast and automatically displays its extensive statistical results in Excel. The Walk Forward Metric Explorer reads all files generated by the Power Walk Forward Optimizer and searches each Power Walk Forward Optimizer file for the best combination of in-sample performance metrics, also called filters here, that generate the statistically best average out-of-sample performance. A filter summary is generated and sorted by total out-of-sample net profits after costs for all metric combination filters examined by the Walk Forward Metric Explorer, and it's written to a common delimited Excel file by the Walk Forward Metric Explorer. In addition, using modern bootstrap techniques, the Walk Forward Metric Explorer calculates the probability of whether each filter's out-of-sample results were due to chance. When the Walk Forward Metric Explorer is done, just click on the Excel icon next to the Run button, and the Walk Forward Metric Explorer output file will appear in Excel on your spreadsheet. In front of you, you see the Walk Forward Metric Explorer screen that first comes up when you first use it. We have to enter the Walk Forward files that we want to examine that we generated with the Power Walk Forward Optimizer and all the other blank inputs. Once you enter these inputs, though, the next time you use it, it pops right back up with what you previously entered, so you don't have to keep entering it each and every time. We're going to examine the filter that I generated on the Power Walk Forward Optimizer run, where I examine in my paper on my website in the paper section, called the Trading 1-Minute Bar Euro Futures using the nth order fixed memory polynomial velocity strategy. So we're going to see how I derived all the numbers in that particular paper using the Walk Forward Metric Explorer. The first thing we want to do is find what Walk Forward files we want to use. When I used the Power Walk Forward Optimizer, it generated some 304 in-sample and out-of-sample files, and I put them in a particular directory. So when I click on the little directory box here, it pops up with where these files are. This has been pre-selected before, so it automatically popped up. When you first use it, it'll probably pop up on the C drive, and then you have to go down and find wherever you put your Walk Forward files. So the Walk Forward files were named with the stub EC1 FIXM VN XOP XT. So when I click on that, it immediately enters it here, and it puts a stub in the stub box. I also have to determine where I want the output of the Walk Forward Metric Explorer to go. So we can search where we want to put it. So I've created what I call a temp directory, and I usually put all my stuff in there. The run ID is just simply, if you make many different types of runs, you don't want to overwrite the previous run, so you will put a run ID in. In this case, I put A. The start file 0 means that go into that directory and find the earliest file, Power Walk Forward Optimizer file that I generated, and an end date of star means that go all the way to the last file you find. So you don't have to define the dates unless that you want to examine of the 304 Walk Forward out-of-sample files that are in there. It'll automatically find it. The metric 1, metric 2, metric 3 is the first screen. Basically, screen the walk forward in sample data, and then after that screen, then it'll look for the top end metric. So for instance, I like to screen the profit factor, and I like to screen profit factors less than 2 to 4 by 1. By 1. That means usually the profit factor, if the end sample has a high profit factor, it's usually due to curve fitting. So I want to eliminate all those curve fitting examples, but I want to search through a profit factor of 2 to 4 by 1 and eliminate, profit factor less than 2, then a profit factor less than 3, then a profit factor less than 4. The other metric, power walk forward metric that I like to look at is the losers in a row. I don't like to have that many trades losers in a row, so I like to screen out all those cases where there are anywhere from 3 to 5 losers in a row. In a row, advance it by 1. So if it had 3 losers in a row, or 4 losers in a row, or 5 losers in a row, it's screened out of the in sample data. The last metric that I look at, and by the way, you can choose any of the power walk forward metrics. These are just happen to be my current favorites. I mean, you could pick any one of them. You could pick the velocity, the straight line velocity. You could pick the second order velocity. You could pick, as I said, any one. R2, which is the correlation coefficient of a straight line fit to the equity curve generated in the end sample data. Usually when you have high R2s, that means that you curve fitted the noise and the signal. So I kind of like to eliminate really high ones. So I scan to eliminate anywhere from 70 to 90 by 10. Now what the walk forward does is it first runs the data with no screens. Then it'll run the data with only the power walk forward the profit factor screen. And these are different filters. Each screen creates a different filter depending on what you're filtering. Then it'll run maybe the profit factor and LR or all 3 of them, or just one of them, or just any combination of 2 of them. It runs every single combination of those metrics to filter out the in-sample data first. And as I said earlier, it also runs a filter where it doesn't screen. It just picks the top metric n. I usually like to pick the top 20 of the metric of one of the power walk forward metrics that after the screen is done. And this top n% means that I just want the actual top n. If you go percent, if I said yes here on this percent thing, then it would get the top 20% or 1% or 2%, whatever number you put in up here. Big phi equals yes means that you want the big phi is what you're able to generate the equity curves after you look at the average the walk forward average file in Excel. You'll look at a particular filter, you say, oh, what's that equity curve? And you click on it and boom, the equity curve will pop up. If you don't want to see that and you just want to do a quick screen and just see what the filter was, you will put a no. ONP greater than 0. There's a lot of filters here. In this particular case, I think I have some 43,000 filters, and those are after the out-of-sample net profit less than zero have been filtered out. This thing, if you put no on there, then it would generate every single out-of-sample net profit that it generated, plus and minus. But I'm not interested in the total out-of-sample net profits that are minus, because obviously that filter didn't work. So I put yes in there. Trace station duplicate lines. When the Power Walk Forward Optimizer runs on Trace Station usually puts a couple extra lines at the end, which are the best inputs that it found. Those lines are already in the output anyway, so I like to exclude them so that they're not double counted. TMP greater than zero is another filter. If you only want to look at in-sample filters that generated in-sample profits with total net profits greater than zero, you would put yes. I don't care, so I just put no. R2 greater than zero is, in the end, each out-of-sample, each set of inputs or each filter generates an out-of-sample equity curve. So I only want to look at those filters that generate an equity curve that has greater than 75%. So I'll put 75. Else the files just get too big. The cost here, I'm going to put at $20 round trip for cost and slippage. All right, so we're done entering all the data. I'll click on the run. It immediately pops up with the input directory, the number of dates, number of files, and the total number of filters here. As you can see, there's 61,000 filters. I wanted to do 41,000, so I'll have to go back here and see what the okay, on the metrics, only wanted to do this by 2, so I'm going to only look a filter instead of 3, 4, 5, 3 and 5. Okay, so that allows you to go back and run the change anything you want. I mean, if you hit something wrong, then you could go back and change. Now when we hit the run button, as you can see, there's 46,128 different filters it's going to look at. Since everything is the way I want it, I press yes, and off it goes. It loads the Power Walk Forward Optimizer files one by one. First, for each file it loads, it goes through every possible combination of filters, eliminating metric 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2, etc., etc. And it puts that data into memory, and then the next file it loads, it adds that data to the previous memory file, and it keeps going for all 304 files. At the end, it'll sort it with respect to filters, and then the Walk Forward Optimizer will then analyze each one of those filters, and then in the end sort the filters from best to worst, where best is the filters that generated the highest out-of-sample net profit being after commissions. I'm going to pause it here. No sense you sitting here for another 8 minutes and waiting for this thing to finish, and then I'll come back when the thing is finished. Back, the Walk Forward Metric Explorer took 8 minutes and 35 seconds to complete its run, which it's fairly fast. It also depends on how fast your CPU is, how many other things you have running, etc., etc. Anyway, when you click on the average file icon, Excel immediately opens up